The alien palace was made of white stone and living light. Tall pillars reached the ceiling like frozen waves. Soft blue energy moved through the walls, as if the palace itself was breathing. Guards stood in perfect lines. Nobles whispered behind shining masks. Everything was calm, controlled, and powerful. At the center of it all stood the alien princess. She was beauty shaped by another world. Her silver skin reflected the light. Her eyes glowed like quiet stars. When she walked, the room followed her. When she spoke, the empire listened. Fear and admiration always came together. That was how it had always been. Except today. The princess noticed him again. The human stood near the edge of the hall, where shadows touched the light. He wore simple clothes. No armor. No symbols. Just a calm posture and steady eyes. He was not looking at her. That was strange. Most beings tried too hard. They stared. They bowed too low. They smiled too fast. Some trembled. Some dreamed. Some wanted power through her. Others wanted favor. A few wanted love. None looked away. But this human did. When the princess moved closer, he stepped back. Not in fear. Not in anger. Just enough to keep distance. Her steps slowed. She turned slightly, pretending not to care, but her attention stayed locked on him. When she stopped, he stopped too, always careful, always distant. A quiet tension spread through the hall. The guards noticed first. Their hands tightened around their weapons. The nobles followed, whispering behind their hands. Why does the human avoid her? Is he disrespectful? Does he not understand who she is? The princess felt something new rise inside her chest. Confusion. She had faced war councils without fear. She had spoken to enemies without shaking. But this was different. This was small, quiet, and it bothered her deeply. She turned suddenly and walked toward him. The sound of her steps echoed like thunder in the silent hall. The human felt her approach and stopped. He lowered his head slightly, not a deep bow, not a challenge, just respect. She stood before him now, close enough to see his eyes. He still did not look directly at her face. Her pride stirred. Human, she said, her voice smooth but sharp. You serve in my palace. You walk my halls. Yet you act as if I am not here. The room froze. Everyone waited for the human to fall to his knees. He did not. He raised his eyes, not to her crown, not to her beauty, but to her eyes. Only for a moment. I am aware of your presence, your highness, he said calmly. His voice was steady. Not weak, not proud, just honest. Then why, she asked slowly, do you always step away from me? The question surprised even her. The human paused. Just one breath. I step away, he said, because you do not need another being pulling at you. The words landed softly, but their weight was heavy. A wave of silence spread through the hall. The princess stared at him. No one had ever spoken to her like that. She expected fear, or desire, or apology. Instead, she heard something else. Choice. Her fingers curled slightly. You assume much, she replied. Many would give anything to stand where you are now. I know, the human said. That is why I do not. Murmurs rose instantly. How dare he? Does he insult her? He must be punished. The princess raised one hand. Silence returned at once. Her eyes never left the human. You avoid my gaze, she said quietly. You keep distance. Tell me, do I frighten you? The human shook his head. No. That single word struck harder than any insult. Then what is it? She demanded. For the first time, something flickered across his face. Not fear, not pride, care. Because when everyone moves closer to you, he said slowly, no one sees how alone you are. The hole felt smaller. The princess felt as if the light around her dimmed for just a second. Her breath caught, but only she noticed. Lonely. That word had never been spoken near her. The nobles shifted uncomfortably. The guards avoided her gaze. No one dared speak. She took a step back. The human did not move. You speak dangerously, she said, but her voice lacked its usual strength. I speak carefully, he replied. That is why I keep distance. Her heart beat faster. She did not understand him, and that scared her more than rebellion. "Leave us," she ordered suddenly. The guards hesitated. "Now," she repeated. One by one, the hall emptied. The whispers faded. The light seemed quieter. Only the princess and the human remained. She looked at him, really looked, not as a ruler, not as a symbol, but as a woman who had never been seen without her crown. "You will explain yourself," she said softly. "Fully." The human nodded. "I will," he said, "if you truly wish to hear it." She turned away, hiding the storm in her eyes. "Yes," the alien princess said. "I do." The private chamber was silent. Soft light flowed across the walls like slow water. Outside, the sound of the palace felt far away, as if the world had stepped back to watch. The alien princess stood near the tall window, her back to the human. Beyond the glass, stars drifted in deep space. Whole worlds moved in quiet order. She usually found comfort there. Not now. The human stood several steps behind her. He did not move. He did not speak. He waited. That, too, felt strange. Most beings rushed to fill silence when they were alone with her. They praised her. They begged. They explained themselves before she even asked. This human did none of that. The princess slowly turned. "You said you keep distance," she began, "because I do not need another being pulling at me." Her eyes locked onto his. "Explain." The human lifted his head fully this time. He met her gaze without challenge, without desire. His posture stayed calm, almost gentle. "Your Highness," he said, "may I speak freely?" The question surprised her. "Few ask permission in my presence," she replied. "Few are honest," he answered quietly. Her jaw tightened. "You may speak," she said, "but choose your words carefully." "I always do." She walked closer, each step slow and measured. She stopped just a short distance from him, close enough to feel the warmth of his body, close enough to remind him who she was. "Everyone in this palace watches you," she said. "They whisper. They question your loyalty. They wonder why you act as if I'm untouchable." "I believe you are," he said. Her eyes narrowed. "Untouchable," she repeated. "You dare mock me." "No," he said immediately. "I mean something else." She waited. "When people reach for you," the human continued, "they touch your title, your power, your beauty, not you." Her breath slowed. "You assume again," she said. "You assume I care." "I think," he replied, "you care more than anyone here." That hit harder than she expected. She turned away sharply, her cloak moving like a wave of light. "You know nothing of my life," she said. "Nothing of what I carry." "That is true," the human admitted. "But I know what it looks like when someone is surrounded and still alone." Silence returned. The princess pressed her fingers together, controlling the sudden tension in her chest. "You believe yourself wise," she said coldly. "Perhaps you think distance makes you noble." "No," he said. "Distance makes me safe." She spun back toward him. "Safe from what?" "From becoming like the others." Her eyes flashed. "And what are the others?" "Hungry," he said simply. The word echoed in the chamber. "Hungrier than soldiers," he continued. "Hungrier than nobles. They want what you can give. Your favor, your protection, your name." "And you do not?" she asked sharply. The human shook his head. "I want nothing from you." That sentence felt impossible. Every being wanted something from her. Even those who claimed love wanted closeness, power, or pride. "Nothing? Then why are you here?" she demanded. "Because I was ordered," he replied. "And because I believe serving does not mean taking." Her hand trembled slightly before she clenched it into a fist. "Do you know," she said slowly, "how many have lied to my face with softer words than yours?" "I do," he said. "That is why I do not soften them." Her eyes searched his face. She looked for fear, for ambition, for hidden desire. She found none. That unsettled her deeply. "Look at me," she commanded. He did, not like others did. There was no hunger in his eyes, no excitement, no submission, only awareness. Do you feel nothing? She asked. I feel respect, he said. And caution. Caution, she repeated. Yes, he replied, because if I step closer, I would stop seeing you clearly. Her voice dropped. And what do you see now? He paused. A woman taught to be strong before she was allowed to be human. The words cut through her defenses. Her breath caught. For a heartbeat, the princess forgot where she was, forgot the crown, forgot the empire watching her every move. She felt seen. Her pride rose quickly to protect her. You speak as if you understand me, she said sharply. Be careful. That path ends badly. I know, he said. That is why I stand where I am. She stared at him, anger and confusion mixing inside her. You frustrate me, she said. I am sorry, he replied, but I will not pretend. Pretend what? She demanded. That closeness always means care, he said. Sometimes distance is the only honest choice. Her heart beat faster. No one had ever refused her without fear. No one had ever challenged her without rebellion. This human did both. Quietly, she stepped back, placing space between them again. You will remain in the palace, she said, under watch. I understand, he replied. And you will answer me again, she added. Soon. He bowed slightly. I will, he said, if you ask. The princess turned toward the window once more. As she watched the stars, one truth settled uncomfortably in her mind. For the first time in her life, someone had chosen distance, and it had shaken her more than rejection. The next meeting did not happen by order. It happened by choice. The alien princess stood alone in the quiet garden of the upper palace. Soft light grew from alien flowers. Their colors changed slowly, responding to emotion and sound. This place was hidden from the court. No guards, no nobles, only silence. She had chosen this place carefully. Moments later, the human arrived. He stopped at the edge of the garden, as he always did. He waited. He did not step closer unless invited. Come, the princess said, her voice calm but tense. He obeyed. They stood among the glowing plants, light rising around them like mist. For a long moment, neither spoke. You said before, she began, that you would answer me fully. Yes, the human said. Then do it now, she said. No riddles. No careful distance. He took a slow breath. What I am about to say, he replied, may offend you. I am not easily offended, she said. He looked at her, not with fear, not with pride, with honesty, he said. She nodded. You are the most powerful being in this empire. The human began. Your word shapes worlds. Your face commands loyalty. Her posture straightened. But, he continued, that power has stolen something from you. Her eyes narrowed. Explain. You have never been allowed to be ordinary, he said. Never allowed to be wrong. Never allowed to be weak. Her fingers curled slowly. You call that stolen? She asked. Yes, he replied, because it was taken before you could refuse. The garden grew quieter. You think power is a gift, he continued, but it is also a cage. Everyone sees what you are. No one asks who you are. She felt a strange pressure in her chest. You keep your distance, she said softly, yet you speak as if you know me. I know the pattern, he said. I have seen leaders, heroes, symbols. And what do you see when you look at me? She asked. He did not answer right away. When I look at you, he said slowly, I see someone surrounded by voices who has never been heard. The word struck her harder than any insult. The flowers around them dimmed, reacting to her sudden silence. You lie, she said, but her voice lacked strength. If I wanted to lie, he replied, I would praise you. Her jaw tightened. Then why avoid me? She asked again. If you see all this, why step away? Because, he said, you deserve one person who is not trying to claim you. The air felt heavy. Claim me? She repeated. Yes, he said. Even kindness can be a form of taking. Her heart beat faster. Most would call that loyalty, she said. Most confuse loyalty with possession, he answered. She stared at him. No one had ever spoken this way to her. No one had dared. "You think I am lonely," she said quietly. "I think," he replied, "you are never alone, and that is worse." The truth in his words burned. She turned away, her hands trembling slightly. She hated that he could see through her strength so easily. "You risk punishment," she said. "Exile. Worse." "I know," he replied, "but I will not apologize for seeing you." She faced him again. "And what do you see?" she demanded, "that others do not?" He hesitated, then spoke. "I see a woman who learned to stand tall before she learned to rest." Her breath caught. "I see someone who has never been chosen for herself, only for what she represents." The garden lights flickered. For a moment, she could not speak. "That is enough," she said finally, her voice low. The human bowed his head. "I understand." "No," she said suddenly. "You do not." He looked up. "You have said what no one has ever dared," she continued. "You have crossed a line." "I stepped over it," he replied, "because you asked me to." Silence returned, deep and heavy. She took a slow step toward him. "Tell me this," she said, almost whispering. "If you do not want my power, my favor, my name." She stopped inches away from him. "Why does my pain matter to you?" He met her eyes. "Because," he said, "I know what it costs to wear a mask every day." Her chest tightened. The princess stepped back abruptly, as if struck. "You will leave now," she said. He bowed. "Yes, Your Highness." As he turned to go, her voice stopped him. "Human." He paused. "You have shaken me," she said quietly. "That is not easily forgiven." "I did not seek forgiveness," he replied. "Only truth." He left the garden. The princess stood alone among the dim flowers. For the first time, her power felt heavy. For the first time, distance did not feel like rejection. It felt like mercy. The night cycle of the palace was silent. The alien princess sat alone in her private chamber, surrounded by soft shadows and dim light. The walls shimmered with slow-moving stars, responding to her thoughts. Normally, this calm helped her rest. Tonight, it did not. The human's words would not leave her mind. "You have never been allowed to be ordinary." She closed her eyes, but the memories came anyway. She saw herself as a child, small, standing in a vast hall that felt too large for her body. Elders surrounded her. Their voices were heavy with duty and destiny. They spoke of crowns, futures, and sacrifice. No one asked her what she wanted. She remembered the first time she was told she must never cry in public. "Taze," they said, "weak in authority." She remembered learning to stand tall while her heart shook. The memory tightened her chest. She opened her eyes and rose from her seat. Walking slowly, she approached a tall mirror made of living crystal. It showed not only her reflection, but the weight she carried. Her posture was perfect, her face calm, but her eyes looked tired. "Power is a cage," the human had said. She whispered the words aloud. "I was born into this," she said to her reflection. "I did not choose it." The mirror shimmered, reacting to her emotions. She remembered the first time she understood betrayal. A trusted advisor had smiled while planning to use her name to gain power. She remembered learning that kindness invited danger. After that, she built walls. Pride became armor. Control became safety. She turned away from the mirror. Her thoughts drifted back to the garden, to the way the human had spoken, not with fear, not with desire, with care. That was the part that unsettled her most. She moved to the balcony. The vast empire stretched below, glowing in quiet obedience. Millions lived under her rule. Millions depended on her strength. Yet she had never felt smaller. A soft sound broke the silence. Someone was at the entrance. She did not turn. "You may enter," she said. The human stepped inside. He had not been summoned by guards. She had called for him herself, and that realization made her pulse quicken. "You should not be here alone with me," she said. "I will leave if you ask," he replied. She faced him slowly. "I ask you here because I remember something," she said. He waited. "I remember the day I stopped trusting praise," she continued. "It was a day I learned every compliment carried a price." The human listened without interrupting. I was taught that distance keeps me safe, she said. That control keeps me respected. She took a breath. And yet, you keep distance, and it does not feel like control. She looked at him. Why? Because, he said gently, I do not want you to perform for me. The words settled deep. She felt her pride weaken, not shatter, but bend. For years, she said quietly, I believed needing nothing made me strong. The human nodded. Needing nothing makes you alone, he said. Choosing not to take makes you free. Her eyes widened slightly. Free. She had ruled worlds, commanded fleets, shaped history. Yet freedom felt unfamiliar. She turned back toward the balcony. When you spoke in the garden, she said, you broke something in me. I did not mean to harm you, he replied. You did not, she said. You broke my certainty. She faced him again. Do you know what pride is, human? She asked. Yes, he answered. It is what we build when we are never allowed to rest. Her breath caught. She stepped closer. I have worn pride my entire life, she said. Without it, I'm exposed. That does not make you weak, he said. It makes you real. Silence wrapped around them. She felt something warm behind her eyes, but refused to let it fall. You must leave again, she said at last, before I forget who I am supposed to be. He bowed. As you wish. As he turned, she spoke once more. When you keep distance, she said softly, it no longer feels like rejection. He paused. What does it feel like? He asked. She answered without looking at him. It feels like someone finally saw me and chose not to use me. He left the chamber. The princess remained by the balcony, staring at the stars. Her pride was still there. But now, it carried a crack. And through that crack, something new began to breathe. The palace woke to movement and sound. Advisors gathered. Messages flowed through crystal halls. Distant systems reported unrest along the outer borders. The empire never slept, and neither did its ruler. The alien princess sat on her throne, perfect and composed. But inside, she was not calm. Her thoughts returned again and again to the night before, to the quiet balcony, to the human's words, to the strange relief she felt when he left. Someone finally saw me and chose not to use me. The thought frightened her. She dismissed the court early that cycle. The nobles bowed, confused but obedient. Guards sealed the chamber. When the last echo faded, the throne room felt empty. Send for the human, she said. The order was simple, but her heart beat faster than it ever had before battle. Minutes later, he entered. He stopped at his usual distance. Calm. Controlled. You asked for me, Your Highness, he said. She studied him in silence. You will sit, she said, gesturing to a low seat across from her throne. He hesitated. I prefer to stand. I am not commanding you, she said quietly. I am asking. That changed everything. Slowly, he sat today. The princess descended from her throne. That alone would have shocked the court. She stood on the same level as him now. When you speak to me, she said, I want no titles. His eyes lifted slightly. As you wish, he replied. She took a breath. Why do you remain here? She asked. You could request transfer. Distance would be easier. Yes, he said. It would. Then why stay? She pressed. Because walking away would be safer, he replied. And safety is not always right. Her hands tightened at his sides. You speak as if you owe me something. No, he said. I stay because you matter. The words were simple. They struck harder than poetry. You do not know me, she said. I know enough, he replied, to know you are more than this room. She closed her eyes for a brief moment. When she opened them, something had changed. I have spent my life being watched, she said. Judged, desired, feared. She looked directly at him. I do not know how to be seen without armor. You do not have to learn it all at once, he said. Silence fell between them. She moved closer, slowly, as if testing the ground. What do you see when you look at me now? She asked. He did not answer immediately. I see someone tired of standing alone, he said, and brave enough to admit it. Her chest tightened. She turned away, struggling to keep her voice steady. If I step closer, she said, I risk losing control. Yes, he agreed. If I remain distant, she continued, I remain untouched. Yes. She faced him again. And if I choose neither? He met her gaze. Then you choose yourself. The room felt very small. She took one more step forward. I am not asking for devotion, she said, or desire. I would not offer them, he replied. I am asking, she continued, for honesty, even when it is uncomfortable. You already have it, he said. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. In that moment, she was not a symbol, not a ruler. She was simply a woman standing before someone who did not want to own her. I do not know what this is, she said quietly. Neither do I, he replied, and that makes it honest. She nodded once. You will continue to keep distance, she said. Yes. But you will not disappear, she added. No. She turned back toward the throne. When you leave this room, she said, nothing about the empire will change. He stood. And when you return, she continued, you will speak to me as you have today. He bowed his head. As you wish. He turned to go. As he reached the doorway, her voice stopped him. When I stand here, she said softly, I am a princess. She paused. When I stood there, she added, I was something else. He looked back, just once. I know, he said. He left the throne room. The princess returned to her seat. But the throne felt different now. For the first time in her life, she had chosen connection without possession. And that choice, quiet and unseen, felt more powerful than command. The council chamber was full. Elders sat in a wide circle, their forms wrapped in symbols of ancient authority. Generals stood behind them. Advisors whispered through data streams and glowing screens. The air felt heavy with tension. At the center stood the alien princess. She wore her crown. Her posture was flawless. Her voice, when she spoke, carried across the chamber without effort. We are gathered, she said, to address concern. Murmurs spread instantly. Everyone knew what the concern was. The human. One of the elders rose slowly. You have shown unusual interest in a human servant, the elder said carefully. Whispers move through the empire. Some see weakness. The word hung in the air. The princess did not react. Others, the elder continued, see opportunity, a symbol, a bond that could strengthen loyalty. The princess lifted her hand. No, she said. The single word cut through the chamber. She stepped forward. You misunderstand, she continued. The human is not a symbol. He is not an offering. He is not a reward. A general shifted uneasily. Then what is he? Another elder asked. The princess's gaze was steady. He is protected. The chamber erupted. Voices rose. Objections clashed. Protected? By what right? A human among us. She raised her hand again. Silence fell. By my right, she said. The elders exchanged glances. One being, an elder said, should not be placed above tradition. I am not placing him above tradition, the princess replied. I am refusing to place him beneath it. That statement stunned them. You risk instability, a general warned. Enemies will see this as hesitation. They will see clarity, she answered. She turned slightly, letting her voice soften, but not weaken. 4 generations, we have taken what we wanted in the name of strength. We claimed loyalty through fear, closeness through command. Her eyes swept the room. That ends today. The council fell quiet. The human will remain free, she declared. No bond, no claim, no reward. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the chamber. And if he leaves, an elder asked. Then he leaves by choice, she said. The human stood at the far entrance, unseen by most. He had not expected this. He felt the weight of every word. You defend him openly, a general said. Why? The princess paused. Because he reminded me, she said slowly, that power without restraint becomes theft. The chamber froze. "You would change our ways," an elder said. "I already have," she replied. She turned then, toward the entrance. The human met her gaze. "Go," she said, her voice softer now. "You are not bound here." He stepped forward. "I did not ask for protection," he said. "I know," she replied. "That is why you have it." The elders watched in silence as the human turned and walked away, untouched, unclaimed, a symbol of something new. The princess faced the council once more. "This is not weakness," she said. "This is restraint." And restraint, she added, is the highest form of power. No one challenged her. Outside the chamber, the human paused, looking up at the towering palace. He felt something shift within the empire. Behind him, the princess stood alone in the council hall. She had not chosen closeness. She had chosen respect. And that choice, bold and quiet, sent a message across the stars. The palace was quiet again, not the forced silence of fear or command, but a deep, natural stillness. The kind that comes after truth has been spoken and nothing more needs to be said. The alien princess stood alone on the highest balcony. The stars were bright tonight, scattered across space like distant memories. The empire moved on below her, unchanged in shape, but not in spirit. Footsteps approached. She did not turn. "You are leaving," she said. "Yes," the human replied. He stood a few steps behind her, keeping the distance he always had. "I wanted you to go freely," she said. "You did," he answered. "That is why I stayed long enough to say goodbye." She looked at him then. No crown separated them now. No throne. Only open space and starlight. "You changed nothing," she said quietly. He smiled faintly. "Then I succeeded." She studied his face, as if memorizing it, not with hunger, not with regret, with gratitude. "For the first time," she said, "someone walked beside my power without trying to touch it." "That was the point," he replied. Silence returned. It did not feel empty. "Do you know," she said slowly, "what it means for a ruler to be seen and not claimed?" He shook his head. "It means," she continued, "that I am free to choose who I become next." The human nodded. "That freedom belongs to you," he said, "with or without me." She stepped closer, just one step. He did not move. "You will not stay," she said. "No," he replied. "If I stayed, I would become something you did not choose." She closed her eyes briefly. Then she smiled. Not as a princess, as herself. "When you think of me," she said, "do not remember my title." "I won't," he said. "I will remember your restraint." The word warmed her more than praise ever had. He turned to leave. She did not stop him. That was the hardest part. As he walked away, the stars seemed to glow brighter. The space between them felt full, not of loss, but of meaning. The princess remained on the balcony long after he was gone. She placed a hand over her chest, not to guard her heart, but to feel it. Below, the empire continued its endless motion. Above, the universe waited. She had not gained companion. She had gained clarity. And in that clarity, she finally understood. Distance is not always absence. Sometimes, it is respect given form. The alien princess turned back toward the palace. Her steps were steady. Her power was unchanged. But her rule, now guided by restraint, dignity, and choice, had truly begun.